Hello and welcome to the Pens and Pixels podcast. I'm your host, Cal G, and to my left is the coordinator extraordinaire,
Mike Kent.
The podcast is a place to come to if you want to hear about the art and news of video games, comics, and movies that week.
If you like sass, you like crass, and you don't want to give this podcast a pass.
So hot in my mouth, so spicy! Alright, so this week we're going down the news and news you need to know as per usual. And then in the second half, we're going to be going over politics and games.
Yep.
Just in general. With the release of Far Cry 5, a lot of people have taken umbrage with the fact that you're killing Americans, you're killing white folk. That's never been done before. But we want to talk about kind of like the history of politics in games like that, where people have reacted poorly, and should politics be in games or not?
Yeah, is it the medium to use? Yeah, basically, is it the medium to use? Is it the place to go? Is it the forum to make a discussion? I mean, is interactivity the best place to do it? I think we know the answer.
I think we do, but we're going to talk about it anyways. So, is there any housekeeping this week, Mike?
Nothing new, just to be sure to join us again for OJAM. That's the weekend of June 26th. And then as well to make sure to come out and join us for our drink and draws every second Thursday of the month at the Blurry Pixel. For you Ottawa folk out there, if you don't know what the Blurry Pixel is, they're a wonderful, I guess you call them a partner with us. They've let us, since the day they opened, have free space to do our art and drink and draw and do challenges together. So it's an awesome little gaming pub. I highly recommend going out and checking it out, or checking it out with us on Thursdays, second Thursday of every month.
Very cool. And if you're a podcast provider like us, you can go to podchaser.com right now and sign up for a beta. And Podchaser is a community-based hub that gives podcast lovers and newcomers a central place to discover and follow podcasts by harnessing the power of user ratings on over 300,000 podcasts and 14 million episodes. Mm-hmm. So go sign up for a beta if you have a podcast and you want to be a part of that and see what the whole thing's about. Mm-hmm. There's going to be fucking episode ratings and stuff, so people can they're going to be able to go to our podcast, Mike, and just be like, this one, fucking 2. This one, pretty good. It was a 4, but this one, 1.
Actually, I like that idea too a lot, because getting a direct rating is really helpful, not only to helping you guys control content, but it also helps us understand. A lot of the time we spend most of our time looking at the stats going why did this one get so many listens, and you're trying to figure out there's no logical sense as to why that episode was more appreciated by you guys. Did
you like the title more? Did you actually like the content more?
To have an actual direct feedback saying hey, you know what, 4 out of 5, I listened but I didn't care.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. It's so confusing. So it's going to be cool to have an aggregate like this on the internet. I was going to say interwebs, but I'm not 14. So that's starting, I think, June 10th. So you still have about 2-3 weeks to get into the beta. So that's it. Once again, that's podchaser.com. That's podchaser.com. Why don't you just go there, go down there and sign up on them interwebs. All right. If there's nothing else, on to the newsy news. Mike, first up, let's do some movie news.
Okay.
Some cool movie news.
Yes.
Resident Evil franchise reboot. James Wan is on board to produce.
Which is awesome. So, James Wan, if you guys don't know, is, as Cal will probably tell you.
Oh, yeah, he's a fantastic director. He's directing the new Aquaman, but he's also the creator and director of the Saw series. Only Saw 1 if you're worried about that.
I was going to say.
Saw 1.
Let's be specific here.
Then he went on to do Dead Silence, The Conjuring.
Which is the big pièce de résistance.
Yeah.
Which is the greatest tie-in for this, and the reason why it's probably a little bit more exciting. I mean, you go the guy who did Aquaman is doing Resident Evil, and you're like, well... but if any of you are horror fans, or even just like to watch a horror movie at all, The Conjuring is easily the best horror film to have come out in the last 10
I think it's a modern horror classic.
It's a modern horror classic.
That's the thing. To me, it's kind of like The Exorcist came out in our lifetime. It's one of those time movies. He also made Insidious, which aren't as good, but they are still pretty good.
I like the first one.
I like them all to some degree.
But he's got that core to the horror component, because as we all know, what happened with the Resident Evil series as it exists currently is it became an action, I guess technically sci-fi action. I mean, it is sci-fi action. It's just bad. But, the idea of having James Wan, who has done really great work, has a very strong hand in his movies. It's one of those directors where his name gets tied out so clearly.
Yeah.
There are directors out there and you're like, oh, who's that director? And you found out they did 6 of your favorite movies. But James Wan is I'm the guy who made these awesome.
His roots are in horror. That's where he came from. That's where he seems like he also wants to stay to some degree. he's had success. Like he directed Fast and the Furious 7, and now he's doing Aquaman. But he sees like, and you'd think like after that he'd just be like, "So long, suckers," and just fuck off, leave us horror fans being like, "Here's another good one gone." But like, you know, he keeps coming back, which a lot of directors don't do after like a successful horror franchise. So
I'm super pumped, and it'll be fun to see what they do with this.
I'm hoping this Resident Evil. They haven't given any more details, so I'm hoping this one stays a little more close to the games. You know,
well, I mean, let's just take the games not out, but like just like get rid of that as a major hope. We all hope it'll be like the games, but. For this film, do you want it to be a full-on survival horror movie, or do you want it to be... Because, like, the thing is, Resident Evil, at the end of the day, you had guns, and it was, like, shooting and action. So, like, do you just want a more thriller?
I almost want, like, any horror. Because those movies didn't have any. But the thing is, like, I don't know if you can take... Because the Resident Evil movies kind of took on a life of their own. At some point, I personally just accepted them, like, these are never going to be like the games. They're just, like, kind of an action movie where there are monsters sometimes. Yeah. And that's fine. So I wonder if to a general audience, if they reboot them and go like a horror direction, are people going to be like, no, I wanted to see Milla Jovovich fucking jumping around, flipping, and stabbing things in the head. Like, that's not what Resident Evil is to me, you know?
No, but even as a game franchise as well, I would think making it pure horror isn't the best option.
Well, they just did that in Resident Evil 7.
Well, but you still had guns and you still shot shit and you still survived, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean. It can't just be like fucking, like, you know, girl lost in the woods while zombies chase her. Like,
I mean, gun in movie doesn't mean action to me. You know, it doesn't mean it's an action movie. They can defend themselves. They can still, but you can frame that as a horror thing, right? You can have a gun and still feel defenseless.
I think the best place to put it, like, horror thriller.
Yeah, something like that, right? Like I don't want to see like a defenseless person running. Like I don't want like Claire and Leon running from zombies the entire time and be like, oh God, no! Like no, it was Leon's in it. I want him to be a badass cop and I want him to have guns.
As a matter of fact, if he doesn't fourth one, main character was
Leon.
Yeah, if he doesn't roundhouse something in the head.
Oh yeah, that'd be sick.
Like I think I played that game solely just to roundhouse things in the head.
You suplex them too.
Yeah.
So Milla Jovovich, speaking of which, has some comments on this new one, and she said, I would suggest that you find people that have the same passion for the property before you talk about reboots. I think if you get into this kind of genre, people are very sensitive to fakes. There's some real fans in the sci-fi/action/horror world, and they're not idiots.
So, all movies.
Yeah. They can smell when something is done because people love it, and when something is done just to monetize on an opportunity. Now, I don't want to, like, Milla Jovovich is an amazing woman. Like, yeah. I think she's great.
Yeah, she's fun.
I think the first Resident Evil movie was just monetizing an opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that you just took that and you were like, you know what? If I make 7 of these, I will make so much money I could masturbate with a $2,000 bill.
Yeah, like, not to say that there was no passion put into those movies. I'm sure there was. Like, they made 7 of them. Like, 3 of them turned out fine. You know,
really?
like
3? 1 and 2 were good.
Not even 2, really.
I like 2 just because I thought that Jill Valentine looked so much fucking like Jill Valentine.
Sure, yeah. She did look like her. I'll give you that.
I don't know. There was something about her movements and stuff. I was like, it's so her. It kind of got me a kick out of it. So
there are elements. The first one I like. There's elements of all of them that I kind of like, but they just weren't what I wanted. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's weird to me that she's saying this when it's so the franchise that she was in was so clearly not the source material or anything almost even close to it. Honestly, the game characters were like the worst characters in those movies. Like,
horrible.
Almost 100% of the time. I kind of like their Wesker, but like not really.
And what a way to like ruin some of the actors' careers. So there was an actress who was from Heroes. Do you remember the show Heroes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good show. The girl who played the super strong mother, and then later on the twin sister, because Heroes got bad, who could turn in the water.
Was it Ali Larter?
Is that her? Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, Ali Larter.
Yeah, like. Put her in Heroes, and she was one of the more endearing characters in Heroes. As a mother, I really cared about her, like, trying to deal with their, like, multiple personalities and, you know, like, her, all that. It was fucking intense. But then, like, you stick her in this, and I was like, oh my god, shut her up.
She was supposed to be Claire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't good. Did not like that at all.
No. Claire's not even blonde, is she?
No, Claire is redhead.
Yeah.
Like a dark brown, reddish hair.
Yeah.
I want to see Beefcake Chris punching a rock. I want to see Wesker, like, in a trench coat crossing his arms being like, yeah!
He did do that.
It's a new world order, Chris! And then he fucking starts Matrix teleporting everywhere, and you're like, what?
He did do that, though, all of that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Because that was the only thing they did get right was Wesker.
Yeah, but
the
the actor wasn't like good enough.
No.
Like he was almost there. Like he did a good job.
I
like,
hate it when in movies when villains do the elongated talking, and that's what Wesker did.
Oh, all the time.
They're like, you're going to talk like this.
Yeah.
I will rule. And you're like, stop elongating all of your vowels.
Chris.
Yeah.
I'm going to create a new world order. Okay. He never actually says that, but I have it stuck in my head like he did. Okay, next up, we're going to go into some DC news. Some sad DC news, actually. Well, I mean, sad. It has a positive wrinkle to it, I guess. Well, I mean, the end result for the movie world, but like for Snyder himself, Snyder is, if you haven't heard, is exiting the DC extended universe for the foreseeable future, anyways.
Yeah.
There was some. They kept calling it a family tragedy. I don't want to prevent any rumors. I'm not sure if that what I heard is the true thing.
We don't know I don't know if it's true and how his daughter died, but I do know his daughter did die.
Okay, so his daughter died, which is a very tragic thing, and now Joss Whedon is taking over the work on the Justice League and maybe going to be kind of the front runner going forward for the
we'll see.
DCEU.
Yeah.
We're not sure, but that's what's happening. And there's just been a lot of vile shit said about Snyder in wake of this. People are like kind of using it to like further the Marvel versus DC wars as it was, and like that's not good. Like don't do that, you know.
I mean, you and I have sat back and said how much we detest his work.
For sure,
but
absolutely.
That's his job. I don't think he's a bad human being.
No, exactly.
Nothing would ever walk up to Zack Snyder and just like fucking hammer him in the balls and then kick his wife in the face and just be like, "That's for DC."
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like you can critique someone's work and not wish ill of them personally in their personal life. And there's been a lot of ill shit said around that whole subject. So,
or even how bad it would be a day like you're walking, you're with your kids, and you're like, you're having a time of your life, la 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 la, and then someone just walks by and goes, "Boo!" Like that's just going to ruin your day.
Someone just spits on Ben Affleck. That's for Daredevil. He's like, that was 15 years ago.
And I'm Batman now, and I'm not half bad.
Spits on him again.
You're no. Oh fuck, what's his name? The Dark Knight one.
You're no Christian Bale.
You're no Christian Bale.
So let's talk about Joss Whedon for a second here. It says, we were saddened by the events that caused Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder to have to leave and turn the reins over to Joss Whedon. He was already working with us on some of the scenes for the additional photography that we're going to be doing shortly, and it's fortunate Zack convinced them that he agreed to step in and finish the movie. Help Zack finish his vision, and we're excited about that. And Warner Brothers said, the directing is minimal, and it has to adhere to the style and tone and template that Zack set. So we're not going to be getting all of a sudden, like a Buffy episode in the middle of Justice League. Yeah. And I think Joss Whedon's a talented enough guy to, like...
But I think he's going to start slicing it in, so I think maybe that the rumors of the latest round of reshoots is because of this.
Could be.
Because like there's all like again we always get news later than we're not getting it like Zack Snyder's die like the second it happens. It's more like later on. So I think those reshoots are probably going to be him redoing some of the stuff. I think it's going to have
there could definitely be like
some Whedon feel.
There could definitely be something maybe like Whedon, like when we're doing the additional things, he's like maybe add a little more couple character moments in there. That's not, so it's not
he's going to write
in
a bunch of scenes where they're going to have quippy quirks and discussions and shit. Because Joss Whedon wouldn't let a movie release unless two people had some sort of whippy banter,
some back and forth banter. Yeah. So maybe that's a possibility. But I'm interested in seeing how this turns out now. And now or is this going to be something else? That like. When Jeff Johns came in at the end of Suicide Squad, and he was just probably like, this is a mess. Just release it, I'll do the next one.
Yeah. But he hasn't even done that. That's the interesting part with Jeff Johns. It's like, he was supposed to come in and save the day.
I feel like we have not heard about him enough.
No. I think he literally did actually, we made a joke where he ran and hid in his office and locked the door. I think he's pushed the filing cabinet against it, and now he's starting to build walls against, or reinforce his walls and shit.
Joss Whedon. I'm here now, it's okay.
It's
Jeff? No one's trying to trick you. You can come out. It's Joss Whedon. Yes, the one who created Buffy. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I did Avengers 1 too. Yes, come! And Jeff Johns is slowly coming out. Offers him a wheel of cheese. Small little, with cheese wheel.
No, it's a script. He's holding out a little script. He's like, look, it's okay.
Look, there's character development, and it all makes sense.
There's a beginning, middle, and end.
Really? Yes.
And he just snatches it and goes back into his hole.
Snatches it. You hear the filing cabinet Joss is like, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah. We'll give him a few days.
Okay, so...
Which is funny, because have you ever seen pictures of Jeff Johns? He's this giant beefy guy.
Is he?
Yeah, he's not a slim guy at all.
Oh, I didn't know. I never knew what he looked like. Alright, next up, talk a little Marvel. A little Fox Marvel. Yeah, fuck Marvel. X-Men franchise goes horror.
Or fuck Marvel.
The New Mutants, the long-anticipated X-Men spin-off movie, to who, is going to be a comic book film that goes in an unusual direction. We are making a full-fledged horror movie set within the X-Men universe, director Josh Boone says. There are no costumes. There are no supervillains. We're trying to do something very, very different.
But how are there no super... If it's a horror, what are they, killing each other?
Yeah, or maybe it's like body horror because like they're transforming into wolves or whatever they do. What do the New Mutants do?
I mean, it actually would be cool if you did, like, because I've said this now, and I think I've counted like 7 different podcasts, but this is my favorite comic book being the one about the mutant who had no powers but just looked bad, and then humanity beat them up, or the one with Jubilee who does the Danger Room's top 10 most dangerous threats, and it goes like from 10 to and all the way to 1, and 1 ends up being humanity. Mm-hmm. So it was a horror about humanity and mobs coming to hunt these kids down and stuff.
So it says, Boone is keeping mum on the actual plot details, but a source close to the project explains how mutants are at their most dangerous, both to themselves and others, when their powers are new. Like, say, their teenage years. Says the source, held in a secret facility against their will, 5 new mutants have to battle the dangers of their powers, as well as the sins of their past. They aren't out to save the world, they're just trying to save themselves.
So close to what I was thinking, but not good enough.
I was raised by very religious parents, says Boone. They were evangelical Southern Baptists, and they believed in the rapture. They believed the devil was real. They believed in demons. They grew up in a similar environment their entire lives, hung out, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. I think that's cool. I like the direction.
It's a better direction. It's going to be an odd, like, it's the thing about MCU, and the reason why it's working is it has a cohesive whole as its theme. It's all generally light to grays, right? In tone, it's all set inside this universe. It fits cohesively, like episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of a season.
Well, the X-Men are so fucked now, like just chronologically, and they're all over the place. Logan isn't necessarily connected to anything, and all this. It's all over the place. Yeah. Just do this, whatever. Who cares, right? Like, but that's the thing. I would like to see the superhero genre explore more genres within itself. I want a horror movie, and like, I would like to see that.
Oh, I do too. And
if Squirrel Girl ever comes out, that should be mostly a comedy with some action, probably.
I'm down with the whole like idea as I'm exploring different genre styles and all that. It's just that like the MCU could pull that off because we have our tone, we have our world, we have everyone established. So let's like just do some offshoots, right? But with X-Men, it's just been so fucking all over the place. Like,
oh yeah, it's everywhere now.
I just watched Logan again with my partner and his brother, and they were both like, so like I thought Xavier was dead because I saw the one where he died at the end of 3, and then I'm like, well, no, there was a time reset, but then wait, this is
it doesn't matter. Future. Like none of them are connected
anymore. I'm like, really, I can't explain it to you. And Logan was an offshoot, a different type, right? This gritty R-rated, very realistic as I quote in the air. Toned movie, and it worked, and it was brilliant, right? But it just like it's still very confusing. Everyone's like, where the fuck does this fit in? So like it's the same thing with this. Like, great idea, yes, it's probably going to be a great movie, but I would just love X-Men to have a cohesive whole to splinter from.
Sure. I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
No, it's
maybe with the new Phoenix Saga stuff, but even then, I don't know.
Not going to happen.
Unless it's a monumental success, which the X-Men movies don't seem like they're going to be from now on. Yeah, I can't see them all of a sudden being like, this is our new universe, They're going to keep trying to bring back Jennifer Lawrence, Patrick Stewart, as long as they can get them,
And they both all agreed again.
Yeah, now they're all like, yeah, we come back.
Yeah, we're all coming back. Fuck this fucking, not fucking this shit. Like, I think actually probably after Jennifer Lawrence did Passengers and was like, oh shit, I'm not good enough.
Oh, I'm actually very bad at this. Alright, next up. Uncharted reconfigured. Spider-Man Homecoming's Tom Holland to play young Nathan Drake.
I'm not a fan of the selection.
So this is for the new Uncharted movie that it's now scripted and casted, so it's actually going forward. Things are happening. Yeah, Tom Holland. Mike, you have stronger feelings on this than me?
No, because again, like I've said before, right? Like, I don't give a shit about Uncharted. Like, I played the 4th one as my favorite one. I played a bit of the 3rd one. I never really connected with the series, never connected with the character. So I'm not like, oh, you're betraying my character I love so much. It's just, it's such an odd casting choice. Like, in the 4th game, you actually play Nathan Drake as a teenager. I don't know if that's the first time, because I can't say I haven't played enough of the original games.
You do play him as a teenager in another game.
Another game?
Yeah.
Okay. But there's nothing about Tom Holland's character look or anything he's ever done that says that he can accurately portray this character as he was then, or anything like that. Like, it just doesn't feel like the Nathan Drake I even got to know released over one game, and apparently that personality has been the same no matter what since the first day. So it's just like, why, and I hate that with any casting, where it's one of those ones where it's like so far off, and again, always going to be proven wrong. I mean, we did the same thing for Joker and Heath Ledger, and Heath Ledger came in and showed us that there was a potential, and Tom Holland's a talented young actor. It's just, there's something about when I saw it, I was jarred. I was like,
I kind of just had no feelings whatsoever.
And also, I can't see Tom Holland growing up into whoever they, like, there's no actor who's grown up right now that looks like Tom Holland as an adult. Like, it's just going to be like, who's that guy? I'm Nathan Drake. Really?
Yeah, it doesn't look like...
You've changed a lot. Like, your bone structure, your entire body structure.
It's not like Tom Holland would evolve into Nathan Fillion. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
No. Like, there's no connection to that young man ever evolving into Nathan Drake. And even then, the age difference for Nathan Drake, like, Nathan Drake's only, like, in his 30s or something?
Yeah, he's like 30s, late 30s, maybe.
I looked at pictures of me as a teenager. I look younger, but I don't look like a separate human being.
Yeah. True. That's always a difficult casting a child version in it, right? So, yeah. The interesting thing about this to me is the fact that Tom Holland is now, he's part of the MCU, he is Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. He's got to be worth a pretty penny. Mm-hmm. So that means Sony's probably dumping quite a bit of money into this movie.
Or just into the actors.
Or just into the actors. You know.
Just focus on Tom. But there's like 2 hours. Don't move the camera off Tom. He's our most expensive asset.
Have him swinging from a lot of ropes.
Actually, that's what fucking Nathan Drake does.
Yeah, there you go.
And then in Spider-Man, so Tom Holland's just going to spend a lot of time on a grappling hook for his career. Just on like wires all the time.
When he's like 60, he'll be like, I'm still cool. Remember Uncharted? That failed really badly.
He just gets so used to being pulled around on wires, he doesn't know how to walk properly anymore. He's like constantly like spiraling and jumping.
He's just a meat puppet someone's controlling for the rest of his life.
I lost all proper control of my muscles.
So yeah, Sony might have some faith in this movie, or I'm reading too much into it. Who fucking knows?
No, but I can see that.
All right, let's get into some gaming news. All right, Take-Two. They had a fiscal report. That's going to be a common theme for this gaming segment.
Who's Take-Two?
Take-Two are the publishers of Rockstar, publishers of BioShock, publishers of Borderlands.
Oh, okay.
We'll look them up in a second here.
You know, but I got...
But they had a fiscal report, and they said, highly anticipated new title from one of 2K's biggest franchises is in the works, and it's to be expected by fiscal year 2018. So, before March of 2018. This is crazy. So this is probably going to be an E3 reveal, I would have to imagine. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine it not being. So let's take a look at Take-Two's franchises, right? Mm-hmm. What do they got? Mm-hmm. They have several well-known franchises, including BioShock, Borderlands, Civilization, Grand Theft Auto, Mafia, Manhunt, Max Payne, NBA 2K, Red Dead, WWE 2K, and XCOM. Now, we can already get rid of some of these based on when they said highly anticipated in a big franchise, so we can get rid of XCOM. I like XCOM personally, but it's not huge seller for them.
It also just released a version.
XCOM 2 just recently came out, so that's not going to be a reveal. Yeah. Manhunt's not big. I don't know if they would consider Max Payne big.
It was huge. It's also a cult hit, and I always expect for them to bring it back at some point, because so many people still talk about that game, even though it's like one of those like bad games that was good.
There was a Max Payne 3, and I think it did okay. Yeah. Red Dead, which I mean is already happening, but we know about.
But it's been pushed till 2018.
Yep, been pushed. Grand Theft Auto. They're not going to announce a Grand Theft Auto when Red Dead isn't out yet.
Yeah.
Mafia 3 just came out. Yeah. That's a nil. Civilization?
No, they just did a new Civilization.
Yeah, there was a new Civ, right?
Yeah.
So it's looking like Borderlands or BioShock. Borderlands.
Yeah.
Borderlands for sure. Because they've opened Gearbox, the developers, openly said multiple times now that like, yeah, we're making Borderlands 3, and then again like later on they're like, yeah, we're hiring for Borderlands 3. Like, they just haven't made like an official quote unquote announcement, but they are very open with the fact that they are working on it.
And I've never felt like after BioShock Infinite they ever like seem to want to go back. Like they haven't been like going like, oh, we'll get back to it. They're just kind of like, that happened.
Well, the original guy who was in charge of BioShock and Infinite, Ken Levine, is now working on like Twilight Zone episodes or something. Yeah. Like he's off doing something completely different or something. So
I don't think that's happening.
It would be crazier if it was BioShock, but it's probably Borderlands. That's what I'm guessing. So you're probably gonna see Borderlands at E3, guys.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Actually, what's even more interesting is the fact that this page got taken down after the Take-Two news release. I don't know if they thought like they're like, ah, shit, we didn't think anyone would see this.
Well, why would you put it up and not think that the internet would see it?
I know, right? But it's also their fiscal call. I thought you might have to have that online if you had the call. So I wonder if they put it private or something. Yeah. If your investors want to see it, like
you have to have it up, but you don't have to have it publicly accessible.
Yeah. All right. Next up, take this one with a huge grain of salt. It's from a German retailer, Spiegel. Do not know how to say that word.
Spielgott.
Spielberg.
Spielberg.
Yeah, I can't say it. Farfignugen. God of War Collector's Edition, listed by German retailer. It's saying it's costing €199, which is probably right for your Collector's Edition. And it's saying, so it includes the game, a 9-inch statue of Kratos and Atreus battling 2 Hellwalkers, which is those fucking things from the demo we saw, I'm assuming.
Yes.
2 carved Son's Toys figurines. Sure, I can see that.
Carved son? Like his son?
Like his son. Like probably toys the son would have that are carved for him.
Oh, like his... Okay.
Like a fucking, I don't know, what was it, Viking child play with?
It's because of the way it's written, 2 carved son toy figure. Like, it's like he carved his son.
Twice.
Yeah.
I fucked you up on this one, but this one is pretty good.
There aren't 2 versions of me. You just kept cutting.
Steelbook case, which, sure. Exclusive lithograph print, which I don't know what that is.
It's like, have you ever seen like the ink prints where it goes through the ink press and it makes like you do a carving into like a piece of metal or something, let's just say? No? You've never seen a lithograph? You're an artist and you never had to do a lithograph print?
No.
That
just looks like art to me. Okay, so art, a cloth game world map, sure.
Yeah, okay.
A digital soundtrack, exclusive dynamic theme, and a shield pack containing 3 in-game shields. So I think that's the interesting part about this. Whether or not, whatever, Collector's Edition, I don't give a fuck about statues or whatever. Yeah. A shield pack, that could give like some insight to the fact that like shields are going to be important in this game, right? This might be like a heavy, like way more strategic God of War than we're expecting.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's going to be a lot of like blocking and like, you know, defensive maneuvering. It's not going to be square, square, triangle, square, square, triangle, square, square, triangle.
Oh, yeah, no, totally. There's no way for all of that advanced, like, seemingly interactive combat they showed. Like, taking a guy, smashing him up against the wall, and being capable of either, like, punching him in the stomach or smashing
throwing your axe against the other guy and getting him lodged in the wall.
So that you could work on the other guy. So, like, you got to think about it, like, and then, like, you can actually block the punch and, like, either smash his head in or keep pounding on his stomach. Like, you're going to have to be making some selections for sure. Like, unless this is all video sequence. But
so does this seem real to you? Like, this seems like it's so like
I could make
it's
a
so
box set
I know
right
it's
now.
so tame. Like, it's so hard to fucking see, right? Like, I'm just thinking the 3 shields thing does make me think like, oh, it's going to be a lot way more defensive of a game. It's going to be like, you know, you're not going to be getting necessarily like Blades of Chaos and a sword and the fists, and it's like you're getting shields and the axe and like probably one more thing,
bow and
you know?
arrow.
Yeah, like, that's it, right? Like, it's going to be very limited, but you're going to do a lot of things with these things, right?
Yeah.
These 3 weapons you have.
No, I think they're probably going to have quite the arsenal. But, I mean, as for whether or not this box is real, if I had a job as a guy making the collector's edition boxes, I would walk in every day and just go, statue, smaller statue, in-game purchase,
some
map,
DLC.
and a book.
Yeah.
Like, and then they'd be like, okay, so what about for this game? Statue, book, like, just, like...
Just copy and paste this document, put in every other document for the next 7 years.
And then pay me $90,000 a year.
I like if you go to a website too, like I don't know what German websites look like. Is this legit? Who knows? It looks, I guess.
It's at Spielgott.
Yeah, Spielgott. All right, check them out if you want.
It's actually got it for purchase?
Pre-order.
Pre-order.
Which again, this could just be like, you know, some European retailer being like, fucking, yeah, we heard the date and it's up. Like, oh yeah, another thing is the date's listed for January 15th, 2018. Seems like a weird one. It's Monday. Who knows? But that seems like round the ballpark that it would be coming out. So
what was there was for Andromeda that did that, but that turned out to be true, didn't it?
Yeah, there's a bunch of leaks for Andromeda, and they all turned out to be real now.
Yeah, because the art book came out, and they were like, "Oh, it's coming out on the 25th," and it actually came out on the 25th.
Yeah. All right, next up, Michel Ancel says Beyond Good and Evil 2 not unveiling at E3, but he hopes to unveil it this year. Not sure that E3 would be the best place to showcase Beyond Good and Evil 2, but we're working on the game, so sometime this year you should hear about it.
Which means we're going to get it, I
guess. This is one of those things me and Mike were talking about earlier, actually, and I wonder if this is, like, a good call, considering E3 is so packed with shit. If you are, like, any less than, like, a God of War or a Final Fantasy or a Death Stranding, like, your hopes of being talked about for more than 20 minutes are, like, gone, you know?
So that's the big thing about this E3 that's coming up. That's kind of interesting. Is that, like, in the previous E3s, we've had so much stuff that came up, and we were like, oh my god, but we got all that content now, like this time. So like coming in, seeing new God of War, seeing new Final Fantasy, yay, and yes, exciting, but it's not going to be like...
It's not the mind-blow reveal, right? Yeah.
So that's what's exciting about this one with that weird chance of something coming up is that we're like, you don't have any properties left. What's the new thing? And we're like kind of anticipating what that might be. could be this E3. Everyone's just like, more footage. Like, that could be, and that could suck.
You're missing your opportunity, Michelle Ancel. Show Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Like, maybe now is the time for everyone else to be like, hey, by the way, actually showing up with a game you haven't seen in, like, a long time.
Yeah, how many years?
Yeah, like, at least over a decade. You know, we can finally get that next installment. Maybe this is the E3 to do it at, but I get that fear of sitting back and going, this seems like the E3 to do it at, and you show up and they're just like, hey, like, I don't know, fuck, we invented God, and then, like, you know, that's it.
Sony comes up on stage, they're like, Death Stranding 2, and they're like, everyone's like, what? That's fucking insane. Yeah. Emily Blunt, like, no. All right.
Probably.
Next up, we're gonna talk about Capcom. They had a fucking fiscal report, interview thing too. All right, so they had a bunch of things to talk about. We're just gonna go over some of the highlights. They talked about how Resident Evil 7 underperformed, which is interesting.
Well, it did, strangely.
I mean, it did. It did worse than a regular Resident Evil would have. It did better than I thought it would, though. Personally, Capcom were too cautious in sending units to retail stores of RE7 at first, causing the title to have problems growing. Some users were encountering difficulties with the download version. Oh no, they're not. No, that was something else. Users are happy with the quality of both Resident Evil 7 and Monster Hunter, and sales have been good for the current fiscal quarter. Talks about the strengths of selling games and other services via digital stores like PSN, which is something they...
Yeah, well, the digital world, or digital download and non-physical disc world is eventually just going to take over.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I switched myself over to that super early, and now I will never buy a disc.
Discs are 20% cheaper, which is nice.
I don't have to go anywhere. I'm just like, I want.
Amazon. I want.
Yeah.
Just to me.
There we go.
Good year for traditional video game industry with the additional shipments of PSVR, Nintendo Switch, and Project Scorpio all this year. Uses his own primary school daughter as an example of a child who never wanted a home console before but wants a Switch. Then says, in regards to the Switch, Capcom will think about how to support the Switch while looking at how Street Fighter 2 does on the system in May.
Okay, first up, anybody out there who's in charge of a business sitting back and going, well, my kid's like, it is not a fucking market analysis.
Yeah, anecdotal evidence, not the market.
No.
B, how a 25-year-old game performs on a new system,
Mm-hmm.
also probably not the way to gauge your sales or what you should be making on the system.
Yes. Also, not the thing that people want. Like, if you release Street Fighter 5 is the most current one?
Yep.
On there? Yeah, okay, you got something. You know, find out if that's going to work.
Yeah. Not Street Fighter 2 Alpha Turbo Mega Edition. Asked about resurrecting old IP by the interviewer after talking about the recent announcement of Capcom versus Marvel. Capcom wants to resurrect old IP, but doing so makes many problems crop up. One of these problems is...
Why is it not plural? Is it like they're talking about a specific IP, so that they can't use that word?
I mean, it could stand for intellectual properties, right? You wouldn't put the S on that, I don't think.
Still.
Right.
It'd be kind of funny, though, if they're talking about...
I think IP is like Jedi. It's like plural. It's like moose.
But isn't there Jedis? No?
Jedis?
Jedis.
No, I think IP is like a moose. It's like it's an intellectual property. It's like, oh man, you wouldn't say like, oh, look at that field of IPs. You'd be like, oh, it's a whole field of IP, intellectual property.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's a whole field of...
It's a room with a moose.
A room with a moose! Alright, Capcom wants to resurrect old IP, but doing so makes many problems crop up. One of these problems is they don't have enough people. That's a problem.
Get more.
This lack of people is due to the fast advancement of tech, making every title require more people than ever. Also, the development of their current IP and new IP means they have even less time to bring back old titles. In regards to their lack of success in mobile games, blah, 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 whatever. So they're kind of idiots, it seems like.
Yeah. They're like, we don't have enough people to provide the content that people are demanding from us. So should you hire more people? Well, we just think if we give more work to the people we currently have, they'll stay.
And it'll work out fine.
And they're not staying, they're all leaving.
Fucking Capcom.
They're not really very good business people.
No, my hopes are ever diminishing for a reboot of Dino Crisis.
Yes.
Okay, next up is Square-Enix. Also, fiscal call, whatever, sales data. Final Fantasy 15 is the greatest contributor and the fastest selling Final Fantasy. It's at 6 million right now.
Mm-hmm.
Major launches of blockbuster titles such as Final Fantasy 15 boosted revenue significantly.
Yeah, this is great. This is just like we've been talking about, and we're always happier to get more news about this, is that Final Fantasy and Square-Enix in itself is safe because they were going through so much trouble after 13. None of their titles were reaching any sort of mass popularity. Whether or not the game was any good, like Dissidia was an excellent game, but the PSP wasn't a great console to sell on it. I think it was a fun console, but it wasn't a great one
to sell on.
But Dissidia was an amazing game. Like when I played that, I was like, oh, Square Enix is back, but like 10 other people were playing. That kind of ended up being the issue with it. So again, like it kept on rocketing down, and if they kept downsizing, even Square Enix Montreal, I remember they were down to like almost like 20 or 30 people at one point.
Oh fuck yeah!
It was like really low, small squad of people. And now it's nice to see that like, hey, you know what? You came back with something that was Square Enix-y enough for us to all give you our money again, and now you have your power. Please come back and save us.
Yeah, for sure. And another interesting tidbit is, on the whole, downloads are accounting for an increasing percentage of sales, with more than 20% of Final Fantasy 15 sales in North America coming from downloads. We'll continue to work to bolster digital sales in the future, whatever.
Yeah, perfect.
It's interesting that they're just all taking note of this.
Digital download?
Now?
Yeah, now.
It's been around for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But I mean, 20% is still not even half, right? So maybe 20% is finally they're actually seeing like, oh, okay, it used to be like 8 and 12 and stuff, but like now it's 20, so it's actually becoming a real number.
You could take E3 as a big example, right? When the PS4 came out, everyone was like, you still get to have your solid discs, and everyone was freaking out about not losing their solid discs. Technology evolving is always really hard. I mean, look at Apple. Every single time Apple releases a new product, what do? They release something that like breaks the mold. So the new MacBooks don't have USB drives on it or some shit. Or I forget. But anyways, they have some new port where like it doesn't use all the port things that we all currently use, right?
Headphone jack.
Yeah. Or getting rid of that's one good one. Or getting rid of the CD drive, right? Now any computer that has a CD drive on it, you're like, look at that old piece of shit. Like, who uses CD drives? Who uses CDs? Yeah, exactly. You choke and you're like, ha ha ha, laughing so hard. But Apple was the first one to do it, and someone had to do it, and that was like the right thing to do. So I think gamers are pretty stubborn with their lives. So.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, though, with, like, digital sales, too, is, like, they have to account for the fact that, like, it has to be the same price as a retail copy, otherwise EB Games and Walmart is going to get pissed that, like, well, you're undercutting us by this much, and, like, their defense would be like, well, we don't have to pay for shipping and manufacturing with digital stuff.
Or shelving costs.
And so we can actually charge, like, $40 for Final Fantasy 15, and more people buy it, and they're going to get pissed, stop fucking carrying as many games, then their sales go down there, and if they're not making enough sales download, then their fucking business goes under. So they got to play this kind of like game until big box stores die, or
which they will. So,
well, I mean, Walmart's not going anywhere. EB Games probably dead soon.
Oh yeah. God, they're so empty all the time now.
All right, next up, some more Square news. We have actually the last two stories are Square stories. Final Fantasy VII Remake team urgently recruiting. Here's a message from the key staff.
Urgently recruiting isn't a good message.
No. Then I'll put the source in the notes. This is from Silicon Era. Katase says, for this project, we aim to surpass the original work in terms of quality by increasing the number of staff to strengthen the core company development as we head into the development progress phase. As we head into the development progress phase.
For Final Fantasy VII?
Remake, yes. What? You're just doing it now?
I don't really think that. Or, well, no, that doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means.
I think it does, based on the next story.
Oh. You're right.
Yeah. So let's hear out these other two quotes before we get into that.
Yeah.
20 years have gone by, and the number of generations that aren't familiar with Final Fantasy VII is increasing, so we must remake the game using today's technology and systems in order to make a title that can last several more decades. Reproducing the world of Final Fantasy VII in high definition requires an extraordinary amount of time and resources, so we'll need all the help we can get to shorten that. And those of you concerned with the industry may already know the number of domestic staff is significantly lower compared to that of foreign high-definition developers. Therefore, in order to further strengthen the development of this title, we urgently recruit as much staff as possible.
We're trying to get North American developers?
I think they just mean our staff here compared to like North American staff, we have like a lot lower of an amount.
Oh, they do, yeah, but it's, for sure.
I think that's all they're saying.
It's a big problem in Japan in general right now is that people staying in high pressure, high end jobs like this, like in the manga studios and the animation studios and all that, they're dropping like flies, and literally and figuratively.
I've heard bad things with the animation studios there.
Yeah, like it's too much work, and the stress levels are getting bad, and it's becoming a government problem where they're actually tackling how to figure out how to deal with the amount of stress that are on their people. So it's amazing because like, they used to never reach out. Getting a job in Japan as inside the industry, fuck it, you're not getting there unless you're native. So this is actually really cool. Because the idea of me wanting to work at Square-Enix was a childhood dream, but the only way I was going to do that is a North American studio where they don't even outsource the good shit. So you could actually, you could work like a slave till you die. But
they're not saying they're using North American staff people.
No, but they're saying they're going outside of domestic.
No. They're just comparing the staff number they have to like North American studios.
Yeah, but they just said they're doing a hiring phase, an emergency hiring phase.
Yeah.
So
in Japan, they're not like recruiting North Americans.
No, they're open. I think it means that they're opening the doors. That's how I'm interpreting it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but
I just think they mean not as many people over here, a lot of people over there.
No,
we're trying to be like the people over there.
They have way more people than us.
I mean, in this studio,
yeah.
4 people working on the game, 800 people working on Assassin's Creed. We need the 800 people. So I think
but they don't have even access to 800 Japanese developers, right? So they don't have enough people to look at Final Fantasy 15. It was half finished because they didn't have a large enough team. So I get the impression that they're opening Japan's doors and their studios, which used to be closed to foreign employees, and going, hey, are you interested in the job here? We will actually let you come over and work, and we'll fly you over and like set you up and shit.
Okay, I'm not getting that at all, but maybe that's what he's saying. So you got 2 perspectives here. That's why we're the Pens and Pixels podcast. We come to you with the news, we interpret it poorly at you, and then you can take away whatever you want.
I really hope it is that, and that's probably me just being hopeful, because they used to not let anyone go over. It was just like, if you're not Japanese, you don't work in Japan.
And from the pursuit of a new Final Fantasy game experience that can only be made through this remake, to the graphical challenges that come from the possibilities of evolving technologies, yes, we have everything that a creator needs to create here in this environment. Okay, cool. All right, so next up, so Square said Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Kingdom Hearts 3 to launch, quote, in the next 3 years or so, according to Square President and CEO Yosuke Matsuda. In an outline of Square Enix's financial briefings for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2017, Matsuda said about the following slide, this slide shows our release lineup for 2017, 2018, and beyond. We plan to launch each of these upcoming titles in the next 3 years or so. And then there's a bunch of shit.
That doesn't mean that they're coming out next 3 years. There's too many games on here.
That would mean both Final Fantasy VII Remake and Kingdom Hearts 3 will be released by 2020. The former was announced it. Okay, so yeah, the title maybe doesn't make it as bad as it sounds, right? Like, Final Fantasy VII Remake still I still don't think it has hope. If they're urgently recruiting right now, I still think it's like 2 years off. 2019 earliest.
Okay, but what I'm thinking more is for Kingdom Hearts 3, because they started the new media push for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, and that's been like, that has to be in development for a long time now,
It has been. So, like, I've read the dev journals, I've read all this stuff for, like, all the coming stuff, plus the new ad campaigns coming out, and they just released that demo that has running on the Kingdom Hearts 3 engine and all that. So I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is probably is definitely further along than fucking Final Fantasy VII Remake. But yeah, no, I think that the title is misleading, and then the ending going like, oh, well, obviously the 2 titles we want are the last 2 on the list. It doesn't mean that's the order. Right?
Well, Final Fantasy VII, I'm thinking, 2019 earliest. Kingdom Hearts 3, 2018, I could see. Early 2018.
Yeah. I mean,
mid-2018.
They have it on the 2018, so yeah. I think we'll see it at E3 in gameplay. And then we'll probably just get a trickle of news over the winter, and then probably come out like the same around time early.
It's so weird, just because we didn't hear about Kingdom Hearts 3 for it feels like so long.
Yeah.
And then we got a bunch of Final Fantasy VII Remake stuff all of a sudden, and we're like, oh, that game seems farther along than 3. And then now we've seen some 3 stuff, and we're like, oh, okay, this is actually a thing now, right? Right? Please be a thing.
The only thing is that other titles aren't like that exciting to fill in the gap. Like, they have Tomb Raider on there, but they had Tomb Raider on there for 2017. What are they doing for Tomb Raider? An expansion?
I don't know. I think that was the Japanese release of Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Okay. Like, all those other things, like, not that exciting. You would think they would try and front end.
Well, now with their huge blockbuster Final Fantasy 15 selling a lot, maybe they're going to try and go back to bigger titles and not just little dinky shit. Now, time for Road to E3! All right. As you know, we're going to be rating all these predictions on a scale of 1 to 5 Jade Cocoons. 1 Jade Cocoon means, like, unlikely, but maybe. And 5 Jade Cocoons means, like, no, absolutely not, will never happen, is not happening.
Yeah.
So, let's go through this first person's list here.
All right.
This is where, the segment is where we just break down a bunch of people's, just random people on the internet's predictions for E3, their hopes and dreams, and we just crush them.
Crush them all.
All right. Naughty Dog announces Jak and Daxter 4 with trailer and demo.
So 5 is bad?
What?
5 is like, no?
5 is like, will never happen.
Okay, 5.
Yeah, that's a 5. That's a 5 Jade Cocoon prediction. Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
no.
Grand Theft Auto 6 is announced by Rockstar. That's another 5-star. I mean, eventually it will happen, but, like, not now.
Really?
So,
I forget. Well, I'll do 4 then.
Grand Theft Auto 6? It's not... We just talked about this, like, and you agreed with me, like, 3 stories ago.
No, I know, but, like, if I'm not going to say, like, 100% never.
I'm going to say 100% never.
Yeah.
I mean, Grand Theft Auto 6, yes, will eventually happen. Not this year, though.
I'm
There's
saying
no way.
90%.
Okay, sure. I'm like offended you gave it a 4, which is like quantum physically impossible with Jade Cocoon. Bethesda reveals a new Wolfenstein game and the Elder Scrolls 6.
Well,
they will reveal a new Wolfenstein game.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
So that's a 0 Jade Cocoon.
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls 6.
Well, we talked about this. That was like maybe that was what they were working on. Is the next Elder Scrolls and what would they call it and stuff, right?
I just don't think they'd reveal it now. That's the thing. I just don't think they.
Yeah,
now's the time.
3.
Sure, I'll give that whole prediction a 3 because
you.
Wolfenstein is real,
Yeah.
but I can't see Elder Scrolls 6 happening.
Yeah.
Death Stranding will show a female character, no gameplay, just another cinematic. Hopefully, the female lead is played by Emily Blunt, Maisie Williams, or Margot Robbie. I would love if it was Emily Blunt or Margot Robbie.
I like Emily Blunt. I would love to have Emily Blunt in there. But yeah, I mean, I have a strange sensation that you're right. We probably will get some sort of female character.
Yeah.
And some sort of like a weird Kojima rumor about. Well,
there was Emma Stone was the rumor before.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, I could totally see a female character being in there. As for no gameplay, yeah.
Yep,
I don't even know if they're even making anything. I think they're all sitting around the little black box in the middle of a big white room going, how do we make games? Kojima won't give us a computer.
You haven't solved my riddle yet.
Yeah.
Leaves.
When you
They just see him on Twitter. He's already flying away.
Yeah. And he feeds them with, like, bowls, like rabbit food.
Underneath the door.
Yeah.
Just flicking at them. Okay. So I'm going to give that one, like, a half Jade Cocoon, like... Because probably, so that means like likelier to happen because like probably female character, probably no gameplay, but probably not one of those people.
Yeah.
Gameplay demos for Red Dead 3, Super Mario Odyssey, Spider-Man PS4, the new Avengers game, and Call of Duty World War II.
Well, Red Dead's been pushed, so we could get gameplay.
Yeah, I mean maybe. I can see it.
Yeah.
The only one I could not see is the new Avengers game because didn't they say specifically like you're not going to see it this year?
They said specifically 0 footage at all whatsoever at E3.
I think they just said this year in general. Yeah.
Yeah, they said like nothing. You're like don't expect to see anything until next year. Call of Duty World War II.
Yeah, I mean all these other things. These are already things. So this is a 0 Jade Cocoon. This is all probably a thing except for
the Avengers.
Except for Avengers. BioShock 4 is announced. I'm gonna give that a 2 Jade Cocoon.
1.
Yeah, because I mean, with that Take-Two story we had, like it could be BioShock. It's probably Borderlands, but gonna give it a 2 for now.
A 2? No, 2. 2 is good.
WB Montreal reveals they are making not 1 but 2 Batman Arkham games for 2017.
5.
No.
5?
No, that's a 5.
Yeah.
I doubt we're gonna see a Batman game.
The Damian Wayne game and a new prequel, Internet Breaks. Yeah, no, they already listen to our last week's podcast. We've basically already confirmed that this is not happening anymore.
And has there ever been a game that's like, aside from like Pokemon Red and Blue, where they're the exact same game? Has there been a game that's done that?
Where they released 2 games at the same time?
Yeah, that are different, completely different. No, right?
Yeah.
But they're both like Batman games or whatever.
I don't think so.
No,
I mean,
maybe
it probably has happened. I can't say like I've got the entire history of gaming in my head. But...
Yeah, no, I can't imagine. Nintendo announces and shows VR for their console.
No,
I can't. I don't see it.
5. No, because why would they do that? Like they don't have enough power in their machine to even run VR correctly, and we can't even run it correctly. When
you're right. I went from 4 to 5. 5 Jade Cocoons.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Shame. Never
something related to Game of Thrones. I mean, that could be anything.
The Telltale thing, sure, could be a complete 0, and sure.
Telltale, I mean, already did one. They did a whole season of Game of Thrones.
We're going to do another one, and I could totally believe it being there.
They could, yeah. Maybe. I'll give that one a half Jade Cocoon.
Yeah.
Half a Jade
But the rest of it, or a new game that is open world, no. That's a 5.
Yeah.
Or something related to VR, no. That's a 5.
Maybe we'll see some sort of VR. There might be some like fucking tech demo thing.
Not with Game of Thrones.
You don't think so? It's like the Game of Thrones logo, and then it's like the dwarf on the screen or something.
No, they would take something else that's far more inclusive to Game of Thrones. Because like, unless it's like, hey, you can have sex with this girl, it's like not really, or burn this person. That's really all you're going to do in the game. Like,
Sex and Burn Simulator.
That's really what it is.
Okay.
That's our future game, folks. That's the Depends on Pixels game. Sex and Burn.
Could go so many ways with the burning. All right.
Is it a good burn or a bad burn?
Is it a fire? Is it a rash? Is it a carpet? All right. Microsoft shows off Project Scorpio.
Yeah.
Yes. 0 Jade Cocoons. You nailed it. Battlefront 2 demo will be shown and will reveal Order 66 is a game mode. I don't know what that means. What's Order 66 in Star Wars?
Oh, that was one of that game, and it was like a regiment in the Stormtroopers, isn't it? I think. I don't know enough about it.
I don't know.
Question mark, Jade Cocoon.
Sucker Punch will show off their new IP.
Yeah.
And hopefully we may get another Infamous game, but I doubt it, sadly. You should doubt it. It's like confirmed a new IP. Yeah. Unless they're trying to fucking trick us, but I doubt it.
Unless they're like Infamous 14th Son, and then they're just like, that's new.
We did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 0 Jade Cocoon. We're almost 100% getting that this year.
Yeah, we're getting a Sucker Punch game.
Kingdom Hearts 3 will reveal Toy Story and Jungle Book as new worlds.
Oh, and of course the demo will be shown. I'm so thinking it's going to be there, but I can't say a promise. It's like 2.5, 3.
I'm only going to give that a 1, Jade Cocoon. I'm only going to give it 1.
2 and a 2.
And I could definitely see Toy Story being
2.5
being there. Something from the new Assassin's Creed game. Some of these are so lofty as goals, and the other ones are so low.
They're like literally checkmarked off as like mainstream news. You know, like PlayStation will have a game.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then, we're bringing back fucking Parasite Eve. Like, no.
And Sony will announce an update for the PS4 that allows you to change your username. I still don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I'm going to give that 5 Jade Cocoons.
I don't get the debate behind this. I understand and know the history of it, so I'm going to give this an I don't care Jade Cocoon.
People want to change their names, you can't.
I don't care.
With the infrastructure of the system. Yeah, but some people do. If you were weed fucker 69 on PSN when you were 13 and now you're 23, like, don't you want to change that?
Can you just make a new user?
Yeah, you could. But you, like, lose all your fucking trophy history, all your friends, all that shit.
Okay, whatever.
People care.
Okay, well, for those who care, I hope they get their wish granted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care either, but, like...
Of course, I never chose names like that. Like, for everyone who ever chose names like playing a WoW character where you could later on, I think you could get name change cards, but in the beginning you couldn't, and there were people running around with, like, ass rape as their name. And I'm just like... You're trying to join a guild, and this guild's like taking you super seriously. Like, we only take super serious people in. We only do like proper rating and proper people who have to be nice to each other and no swearing. And then you're like, I'd like to come to your AC raid, Ass Bandit number 67. Like, no, you're not getting invited in. You're gonna be like, your name is Ass Bandit. There's nothing about Ass Bandit, and I'm not calling out in my chat going Ass Bandit. Make sure to take out the ads on the left. Like.
You put yourself in this hole, you dig it out. Okay. One last round of predictions, and then we'll go on to the second segment. More solid footage of the Final Fantasy VII Remake and a release date. I think it's looking more and more unlikely.
I'm going to hold this at a 2.5 literally in the middle because it could either Kingdom Hearts 3 or Final Fantasy VII Remake could make a showing. So.
I think you've made a strong enough case for me that I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be the...
I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be
like the favored child here if we get to see
it. I think it's going to be the showcase. If one shows up, the other one won't make a showing.
Final Fantasy 15 announced for PC, coming summer 2018.
5.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
No.
Star Ocean 5 announced for the PC. I don't know enough about Star Ocean 5 or the PC.
Is it out? Yeah, it's out.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, it is out.
Marvel's Capcom Infinite. More characters and stages will be shown. That's a 0. That's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
PS4 Slim price dropped to $250. Same for Xbox One S. Maybe. Yeah, I
like 2.
Destiny 2 bundle for PS4 Pro with white console. Almost
something like that.
Yeah, something like that for sure.
For 5, yeah,
for
totally.
Sure. Gran Turismo Sport bundle with PS4 Pro with a blue console. They have a history of Gran Turismo bundles, do they not?
Do they?
I think so.
Maybe I don't follow it enough.
I know the original PS2 had a Gran Turismo bundle. That's all I know.
I think the PS3 had one.
Yeah, okay. Maybe it does then. New Custom Robo announced for Switch. That'd be a mistake, but maybe.
What's Custom Robo?
Just some little fucking shitty game.
Oh, okay.
It's not like one of their like hard-hitting franchises or anything.
I don't know enough about it, so I'll just go 4 or 5 because I have no clue.
Sega announces Jet Set Radio 3 for Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam.
No.
That's like a 4. That's like a 4, Jade Cocoon. Jet Set Radio, man. That's another tough thing to be. That's such a tough thing to be a fucking fan of. We might even change this Jade Cocoon thing to Jet Set Radio. It might be like a 4-star Jet Set Radio kind of deal.
4-year Jet Set Radio.
No. Jet Set Radio isn't as obscure as Jade Cocoon.
No, Jade Cocoon was that one that when you went to the rental store, it was always on the shelf. No one rented it, and you always wondered what the game was about, and I wondered what a game about bees was. Because it always had a giant hornet on the front, which had nothing to do with the game. It was just the first monster you got.
Some marketer was like, that's good enough to put on the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. We squandered some people's dreams.
What are we looking for? An ending? Or are you trying to... His brain's working. It's almost there.
I was hoping you'd take over for me, but you're just narrating what I'm doing. So come back after the break so we can go over politics and games. Should they be there? Should they not? Who knows?
And now we can get rid of his pensive face, like he's still thinking. Like he's trying to get something else out.
They should be. Welcome back to the second segment of the Pens and Pixels podcast, in which we talk about politics in video games. And this isn't just like, should presidents appear in video games? Yeah, like, maybe, I guess. Grand Theft Auto 4 actually infamously put in
Reagan, Nixon,
a president, and his penis was just dangling. It was like probably the first like fully modeled like 3D rendered penis we had in a mainstream game.
Oh,
yeah, that was fun. So politics and games, Mike. Should they be there?
Well, I mean, let's just get that right out of the gate for our opinion. Do you believe they should be there?
I just fucking asked you that. Yes.
No, I know, but like, get your actual first opinion first.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and mine is yes, absolutely. As a medium, like, it's probably the best place for it ever.
I don't think it's the best place. I just think as an art form, it's imperative that you have people, like, different artists creating different things with different messages.
Yes, that's 100%. You're totally right. However, I also think it's one of the best mediums for it because interactive media is far more impacting because everyone takes in information in weird different ways, right? Like when you were younger, everyone said, oh, make sure you read all your books and then you retain your information, and most people didn't do that. Then they're like, oh, well, if you did it with pictures and flashcards and stuff, you retain it easier, etc., etc. People retain information in different ways, but video games are such an all-encompassing medium. Like, it's interactive, it's visual, it's reading, it's storytelling, it's got a lot of different messages, so you can make more of an impact more quickly. And while there's that whole, like, don't push your message on me, the thing is how do you even make a decision as a kid unless you get both sides of the story? Like, I come from a religious family. I come from a strong Irish Catholic family, raised in the Catholic church and everything like that, Catholic school. But it was only until later when someone came along and offered me an alternate opinion that I was able to start having a discussion and figuring out, is God real? Do I believe in God? Blah, 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 right? And you can't get there without a discussion. So if you believe on one side, if you need to talk to someone else about it to prove it, like that's the organic nature of an argument, and everyone has to present their argument in some fashion. It's not all a threat.
Sure, and to your point about, I think video games have the potential to be a great medium for, representing any sort of politics. I don't think we're there yet because I think a lot of times during a game, you could have a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, and maybe it's presenting a certain message to you, and you're playing it, and you're getting a lot out of the story. But then, I think you easily get sidetracked from not thinking about that when they're like, collect 3 wolf pelts, and you're like, okay, just go off and you collect 3 wolf pelts, and you're not thinking about the message of the game. I think sometimes something like more direct, like a movie, right now could be better than that.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just, I mean, exercising and massaging this out as an art form in itself is just a current thing in gaming. Like,
that's the thing, we're a baby art form, right? Like, we're in the grand scheme of things, like, motion pictures, movies. Oh, those movies!
Those motion moving pictures.
They've been around for 100 years now. Right? Is that right?
Probably close.
1912. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
Yeah.
Video games are very recent in the grand scheme of things. So like we're just not quite there yet. In fact, we've only really recently been starting to see any sort of politics be pushed into these games, like at all.
Yeah.
Like DuckTales on the NES didn't have any sort of fucking political agenda to push.
But it's even an emotional impact, and that's the big thing. Is that when games started making an emotional impact, when I can turn on The Last of Us and make someone cry from just watching the opening sequence, right? Like, that's saying something, and that's video content, but playing that game from beginning to end, you feel like the characters, you empathize with the characters, and the decision at the end is really hard to make, and it's like, now it's your choice to make the decision. The outcome can't be anything different. You're going to shoot those, spoiler, you're going to shoot those doctors, right? But, you know what, like, at that moment, holding that gun to them, I was like, I want to kill the only, like, fucking brain surgeons on the planet left in the zombie apocalypse.
Well, since we already spoiled it, I just want to say I love that moment because, A, I just murdered them all.
You just fired right away the second you got control.
Immediately. I was like, you have my daughter.
That's a great point right there. We both had a different experience. I was like, I wanted to protect Ellie, but I didn't want to have to murder people that were possibly trying to help people as well. Like,
sure, but that's not what we're talking with today.
No, but
this is more of a storytelling, emotional thing.
This is my point, is that, like, as a medium, this is the power of video games, is that people can get different experiences and learn different lessons from it. And that's why politics belongs inside of video games, because you need to be making messages of any kind.
Mm-hmm. So this is all spurred by Far Cry 5 just got revealed today as we record, but on Friday as you guys listen to this. Mm-hmm. And there's just been a treasure trove of fun comments coming out about this game.
People have been really offended by what the story of Far Cry 5 will potentially turn out to be.
Yeah, you don't even know yet, which is the great part.
The trailer insinuates, and I highly suggest going out to check out the trailer, but insinuates that the whole story is going to revolve around you either fighting or taking out a very religiously zealot
a religious cult.
Religious cult. It doesn't even say Christian, because there was no cross anywhere. They just were in a church.
There was a crossy looking thing, kind of, but yeah.
Which could have been like a Celtic druidic thing, for God knows.
Yeah, who knows, right?
Like, yeah.
But there's been a lot of, great reactions. Let me read something for you here. The villain is going to be like, have I ever told you about the definition of white male privilege? This game has been brought to you by the Social Justice Warriors Association. Let me guess. The game's story is where you get kidnapped by religious, hypocritical rednecks who make Christians look bad. Also, while shoving some political crap agenda, making negative nods to Trump, because that's the popular thing to do.
Yeah. That's because they planned this game out 5 years before the game came out, and we're like, you know what? Trump will be president, so we're making a game to make fun of him before he does.
Christians might be the most persecuted religious group in the world.
Not like the Jews, suffered in the desert for hundreds of years and then got killed in camps and then had to come here and get persecuted again.
No,
not at all. You guys are the worst. Because people come along and go like, I don't believe in you. Threat.
I think my favorite one was, imagine this game was about killing black people and what the outrage would be. And then someone quoted that and said, you mean like Far Cry 2? And then Far Cry 3 where you were killing indigenous people on an island.
Yeah.
And then Far Cry 4 where you were killing Himalayan people.
Or Resident Evil 5
where you were in Africa
and you were just slaughtering African villages.
Yep. That game had its own set of problems, but
they were zombies. They're still African American zombies.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that these people think that, like, all of a sudden shooting white people is bad. Like,
especially since we've murdered a lot of white people.
Continuously.
Like, I've probably murdered more white people in games than any other race.
And also, okay, and let's just say maybe it's not the white people thing, it's the Christian thing, right? Yeah. Like, again, there's been a lot of Christian imagery always used in quite negative ways. Maybe because I'm a big horror movie fan, but like something like The Exorcist, or The Conjuring, even the upside down crosses, right? Or using Outlast 2 recently just came out, and it uses a ton of like very crazy Christian imagery to get across these people are crazy Christians and
even religion,
piles of dead babies and shit.
Just religion in itself has been attacked in gaming tons of times. Look at the new Tomb Raider, the first one. He makes himself like the priest of the sun, and they all become crazy zealots and start killing and eating people.
Yep.
Like, they're using not Christianity, although it's the easiest one to latch onto since it's the biggest, right? Mm-hmm. But like the zealotry that happens from religious fundamentals that lose track of human fundamental rights, which I don't care if you're Christian. My mother and father are Christian, and they aren't like stringing me to a cross.
Nope. Let's go through another series of tweets here, which is fucking fantastic. The average American is literally the fucking villain in Ubisoft's new anti-white game. This is already... Listen to this. Yeah. The average American is literally the fucking villain. I don't think that these extreme religious zealots are the average American.
Yeah, and if you're going to try to represent yourself as the average American, don't try and align yourself with the people who are running around apparently shooting everyone.
Yeah, sacrificing sinners on, impaling them on the ground.
Yeah. That's the average American. My neighbor Joe, he did that 5 times last week.
Ubisoft's new anti-white game would be a good slogan for this game.
They should just use it as their...
This is what they think of Patriots. Fuck 2017. Reasonable response. Why is it acceptable for something so treasonous to be made? Also, this is a Canadian-made game. Mm-hmm. Also, it's not treasonous to criticize your country or any country. You can do that because we have free speech.
Yes, I mean, Nelson Mandela, he fought his government appropriately, and he went to jail for it, and it was an appropriate fight with an unjust system.
But in art, and with art in politics, you can make comments like this on, and slightly exaggerate real life and to get a point across.
And you can explore it without like going like, remember in history when that fucking horrible thing happened? Instead, you can be like, here's an experimental exploration of what would happen if this went the wrong way.
What if? Yeah.
Let's avoid this happening, because guess what? In this game, this world sucks, and let's not get there by looking at how bad it can be.
Remember, you remember those Marvel What If comics when they're like, what if Wolverine killed the Hulk? Like, it's just that.
It is what if.
What if? So yeah, people's... Also, this kind of reminds me of the reaction to Far Cry 4 before we really knew anything. There was... do you remember the main character of Far Cry 4? Not the main character, the main villain?
No.
It's Pagan Min. He was this Himalayan dude. He wore a pink suit, and he was on the cover. They released the cover art first, like just much like they did here. And he was on like a throne, and he was like holding his head up, and he was holding the head down of an indigenous person. And they're having this white guy like hold the head down of this. This is super racist. Fuck this. And it was like, okay, well, he's clearly of a different race. Like, and they came out and said that, and they were like, well, he's wearing pink and he's a gay guy. Isn't that a little stereotypical? They were like, not gay, just wearing a pink suit. They're just trying to attack it from like every angle. Like, and I was like, man, they're really trying to go after this game, and Ubisoft just brushed them off every advance.
Yeah.
They haven't said anything. They haven't really come back at all. I think Ubisoft's just kind of like, free PR, yummy. I think they're just rubbing their tummies like,
eat my beast.
Yeah, this is nice. I feel like they knew exactly what they were doing though. Like,
of course,
they've kind of like stumbled into the appropriate like political time frame for this to be like extremely relevant. So they're like,
well, this is the time of the offended, right? Because guilt is everywhere right now. Like, white people get blamed for a lot of stuff, which they should be on some components and some others. It's just a historical stuff. It doesn't mean that we should be evil people, but we feel that guilt, and then we feel defensive, and we feel like we're being victimized. But then there's actually racial groups out there that are being victimized in real ways, and like they are feeling underrepresented or victimized. Sexualities and even sexes are being underrepresented, and every single time now where you go and you start crossing a line where it feels like maybe you're treading over top of them, to just have a discussion, like to talk about it, that's like, you're afraid, like, like the people who are sitting there going like, I'm tired of the left barking at me all the time and telling me all this crazy shit. Well, they're trying to get their point out, and if you don't like that point, don't have that discussion. Otherwise, discuss with them and see if you can find a good middle ground. And if you're on the left, then the same thing.
Everyone just attacks each other. I feel like no one's really willing to talk. That's the thing. Both sides are at fault, right?
Yeah.
I don't want the show to get too political, but
no, that's good.
I mean, we are talking about politics.
That's like politics and games. You should be going political. Oh, you want to make us liars?
I do. We just like the fucking left, liars and scammers. So this is very directly political. It's involving Christians and stuff like that. But there have been lighter issues, such as The Last of Us had this DLC called Left Behind, where they made a character that everyone loved in Last of Us, who was of neutral sexuality at that time.
Well, I mean, there's really not talking about their sex, but like, hi, you're going to become my daddy.
Like, well, oh God, fuck. Okay, we didn't know what Ellie's sexuality was in the plain Last of Us. We didn't assume anything really.
No,
it was like whatever.
Very
you wouldn't have talked about this.
No,
you're in the middle of a giant zombie infestation.
Yeah.
So Left Behind,
it's like eating someone's brain, and they're like, "Oh God, how did it get her?" I'm a lesbian. Joel just looks at her. Is that relevant?
He's hiding from the clickers and shit.
Yeah.
Joel, this is the time.
I thought I could tell you now because I can talk and make as much noise as I want. You can't. So if I tell you now, you can't get mad.
Yeah. So in Left Behind, they explored a little bit of backstory for Ellie, right? And they had her kiss another female, her friend. In that DLC. I won't go any farther because I don't want to spoil that, but that does happen.
Yeah. And
there was obviously some outrage because it seemed like, honestly, what it seemed like, it was almost like people were like, "You tricked me into liking a gay." Like, like I liked Ellie, and then you made her fucking gay, and now does that mean I'm gay? Like, I don't know.
And the part that got me about that one the most of all was that Ellie wasn't a sexualized character in any fashion. She was too young to be thinking about as a sexualized character, right? Because she was like a child. Well, not a child, but like 15, maybe like 14, 15. So like, there's no like, she's so hot, and I was like, I found her so amazing, and I was like, like fan fiction, whatever. Instead, it's more just like, okay, she's just this kid that I'm caring about.
Yeah.
So there's none of that. So when it came along being like, she's gay, it's like, you didn't have a chance with her. Like, you're fucking 30. Like,
also fictional.
You know.
But, yeah, you're right.
There's no fantasy world to place her in.
That's a kind of an actually interesting point, yeah. I almost feel like people thought that they were, like, tricked. They're like, you tricked me to liking a gay. But, like, shouldn't they have some moment of clarity then where they're like, but I liked the character, but it's gay. And then do they just melt?
Yeah.
Just fucking melt after that?
Or
Like, I
just
don't
be
know.
like, hey, but you know what? It turns out that, like, you know, this gay person is just totally fine and cool, and that's all well and good.
Yeah, like, what? Yeah, it's just...
Or they just go, that can't exist. Likeable gay people.
What is this fallacy? It's fucking fallacy. So there's that. But let's give an example of one where it was a very political game. It was BioShock. It was about an Ayn Rand-like utopia that just completely failed. It was so bad it just fucking died underwater. And that game explored a lot of themes like that, and everyone thought it was cool. Everyone was totally fine with it. Everyone was just A-okay. BioShock game of the century. You know? Why do you think that is? Was it because it wasn't about social issues so much? Because no one's trying to run a country underwater in real life?
But that's the component, is when you're using a story or you're making a good point of your story by going completely fictional. And I find that's a bit of a disconnect, the weird part, because like one of the best political books ever written was Dune, right? Which is a direct comparison to the Middle East thing, right? A local, desert faring culture with people who came in and wanted to use their resource. It was the most important resource to run the entire galaxy. This is sounding all very familiar, I'm sure. And everyone puts Dune on a pedestal, right? That's the greatest thing. BioShock is the same thing. BioShock is considered one of the greatest games ever, but it's just so layered inside of so much complexity. Thank you. And then also in so much fantasy, the story slides through like almost under the radar until at the end they realize the point of all of it. I have a question whether or not that makes as much of an impact as being as straightforward as Far Cry 5 is, where they're pretty much hitting you over the head with a hammer, going like, by the way, you know, this is down the road from you potentially.
Look at this crazy, crazy southern fucking redneck hillbillies, American militia shit.
Yeah, religious thing. So it's a little bit more on, like, it's so blatantly obvious, and I think that's the reaction and why. BioShock, Dune, or any other, like, storytelling.
There's an element of fantasy, so it's all, like, masked.
Yeah.
I mean, even something like Gears of War, it didn't strike it to me, but I'd heard that they tried to make Gears of War, like, a kind of a parallel to the Iraq War in some ways at the time. There's like a poster in the background somewhere that says like no blood for emulsion, which is like the no blood for oil posters and stuff, which sure, but again, I guess nobody, everyone playing that here was probably, any American was probably like, fuck yeah, like oil. I don't know. It clearly not as overt. You're right, as this Far Cry 5 thing.
I wanted to go back onto like the Far Cry thing. It's just, we've had this quota for a while, and I absolutely love it. It's the hypocrisy behind talking about politics inside of games on one side or another, and that's the biggest problem with politics in gaming, is how much hypocrisy is in our industry. Like, it's in the world and it's rampant right now, for
absolutely.
Sure. But I just find in gaming we pass it over so much because we do that, like, oh, it's just for entertainment purposes, and we got this.
Don't analyze it too much. It's just you see that a lot of times when people are talking about issues with women in games, right? Like, oh, they're too, like, all the females in this fighting game are dressed too provocatively, but the men are all covered up in armor. Why is that? And people say, like, it's just for fun. Don't take it too seriously. And then, shit like this happens, and people throw a fit, and they say, if they made an equivalent game of shooting up gang members in the inner city, most of you would have a meltdown. Keep it real. And then someone else says, there are lots of games about that. Sure, buddy. So many, in fact, you can't name one. Someone else comes back. Grand Theft Auto, Saints Row, Gangster, Streets of Rage, Crackdown, APB, Battlefield Hardline, Hitman, Mafia, Sleeping Dogs, Retro City Ramp. Someone else, bet you can't think of any more. The Division, Max Payne, Kane and Lynch, Urban Reign, River City Ransom, Rainbow Six, Lego City Undercover, our Batman Arkham series, Door Kick. Real Gamer lists at least 40. LA Noire, Driver. It just goes on and on.
Yeah. And it's the thing, it's this hypocrisy of thinking, like, just because we're talking about the thing that makes you the most uncomfortable, right?
Yes, that's, yeah.
And it's always louder from particular groups of people, right? You take a long-time standing religious organization that has a massive following, and in current generation, religion in itself is changing so much right now, right? As a raised Catholic, right? I've spoken to Catholics who were like raised in the system and they're like 50 years old, and I asked them, I'm like, do you believe in all of the Catholic dogma that like because you're a woman you're filthy and original sin, and that gays should die and blah blah blah, like all the weird crazy super Catholic rules? And they're like, I don't believe in any of that. And I'm like, well, that's the core fundamentals of Catholicism, is that you're supposed to suffer until you die to prove that you deserve to get into heaven. And she's like, well, that's not my Catholic church, right? And my parents are the same way now. Like, my parents consider themselves, they just put them under the label of Christian because the rules of the church don't fit to them. They still like their faith. They just don't like it's very much changing, and it's threatening to such a large institution, so it makes them very afraid. But if you want your religion to be respected and be current and fit into a new world, it has to change with that. Your core beliefs don't have to change. There's plenty of good things inside of religion, like don't kill your fellow man, don't steal someone else's wife. Like, great rules. Go ahead, sure. Love that stuff. Your faith in God.
What is that one? Do not covet thy neighbor?
Yeah, do not covet thy neighbor's wife.
That's the neighbor's wife?
Yeah. So I can take the husband, though. That's the great part. It's true. They didn't say that thou shalt not covet thy husband's wife.
All right, well, we're not ending quite yet. I really like this quote from Kotaku. They say, it can often feel as though people who like video games want to have it both ways. They want games to be taken seriously and acknowledged as an exciting artistic medium. But the moment someone critiques the game's politics, they respond, it's just a game. Stop taking it so seriously. Which is what we were hitting on earlier. And it is, and it's kind of frustrating to hear that. Because if we want to evolve as a medium, and I think we have it a lot in the last, 20 years, I think they are starting to become a little more accepted mainstream, where we don't have any, Oscars, really, I guess.
No, but that's a really good point, though, right? Because, films have grown and they explore everything. You get your Oscar films where they explore what it's like to be a homosexual inner-city black kid, right? And growing up, in that very homophobic natured world. And then Moonlight is a good example, right? But then we also have Kevin James hitting trees on a fucking string or some shit,
Kevin James on a scooter being fat.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like we have those two things.
We have exactly.
We
have
can
a breadth.
do the range.
You know what? Paul Blart Mall Cop not saying anything, so that's totally fine. And we have those type of video games.
And if that's what you want to play, go play those, and don't play the ones that have the politics.
I don't know if people are threatened that they think everything is going to become super politicized, or because to me it's just going to kind of balance out to this very movie-like thing where, some games are going to be like fucking Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight's not saying anything. It's a great game. Bioshock's going to start saying a lot of things. Bioshock is also a great game.
Yeah.
Gone Home is going to have a very weird, different experience where it's just walking around reading notes and you find out your sister's a lesbian. Spoilers. Yeah. And that's also a game that's acceptable. Art. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. They are all art. It's just, they're just different. I think people are worried that, it reminds me of the thing when people are like, oh, they're putting, too many women in games or something, and I can't relate to this, and blah, blah. It's like, well, that's how women felt, probably.
To the women side of things?
Yeah.
What is the most popular game in the world right now I could probably easily name off?
Overwatch.
Yeah. 100%. And guess what? Since the game released, it has only released female characters, and I think it actually has more female characters now in that game than men, and I don't think anyone's not relating, most men's favorite characters are the female characters.
Also, you don't have to always relate to every character you play as. Just experience their story. We played Horizon Zero Dawn. Mike and I are not female cavemen.
Cave women.
Yet. Women yet. We're still striving, but, that doesn't
if
mean
I could be Aloy, I would.
Yeah, exactly, right? But, that didn't mean we couldn't relate to her story on some level. There's always something to relate to. You don't have to be that person's race or gender or anything to relate to that.
But also, when you pick a friend, you don't go up and be like, does it have a dick? Great, it has a dick. I can be a friend with it. I don't have to pull down the trousers and be like, great, it's got a dick and balls and no boobs. That can relate to that.
Yeah, any games, like I said, games are trying to tell different stories, and I think that's great. I think that's great for the medium, and they should. They should try to tell a wide swath of different stories.
And as for taking over all of it, I think that's impossible. I mean, look at movies. It's really easy to make Paul Blart Mall Cop, but really hard in many years to put together a movie like Children of Men.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That takes effort and years and writing and even a chance that what you are writing is going to make enough of an impact and could totally fail and not impact anyone. Lots of artsy films where you're just sitting there and you're like, oh, fuck, you're just making this depressing to make me sad. And long shots and stop it, you're annoying. So there could be bad games around that. So the amount of time and amount of effort and energy it takes to make a game that's going to make as much impact as Last of Us, Bioshock, Gone Home, or any of those, like how often have, like, a matter of fact, we can only find a list of like maybe 10 games that make that kind of impact. How many games in the world are there?
Exactly. That's why it's so frustrating when people do raise a riot about this kind of stuff, because like we already have so few of these type of games trying to make a message. And honestly, Far Cry has had, for all the shit it's getting right now, like the last 2 games have had good premises and then kind of squandered the execution of their stories. Still fun games, I love them a lot, but like this game will probably, I hope it doesn't squander its opportunity, but like if it falls in the footsteps of its predecessors, it's going to, and it's going to come out and not that no one's going to care, it's probably going to be a very success, but like the story isn't going to be what pisses people off anymore. They're going to be like, shrug and move on, like whatever. It's the more likely scenario.
Yeah. I think the biggest key is to start looking at your politics in your games and taking in the opinions as openly as possible, which is like me basically going like, all right, I'm going to just reverse gravity. Because telling everyone to just go now be open, like, do it, I fixed the world.
Yeah.
True. But I think to make yourself enjoy your gaming experience more is to be more open to experiences and understand that it's just a point of view. Right?
Yeah, it's so hard. Like I don't know people who are thinking this way. So if you're a listener and you are upset about, say, Far Cry 5, email us. I'd like to actually have a conversation about this. Maybe we can have it over the show. Because this is like it is so odd to me that like you're attacking Ubisoft for being anti-white and all that stuff, and I want to know like why do you genuinely think this? They're not trying to be anti-white. Yeah. I can't imagine just
also they're a very diverse studio, but there are white people in there.
Yeah, I feel like you've like created this narrative in your head that like they hate white people for some reason or Christians, which I doubt is the case.
But they're also Canadian, so it's like it's not just like we're all like black or all Asian or something. Like there's no, or even just like all foreign, and you're the only white people.
You just think Barack Obama's making this game. But yeah, like I would like to have a conversation about that because it is so it's alien to me, and I don't mean that in an insulting way. I can't wrap my hand around it because I usually try to like. In every case, I try to like empathize and try to like at least see something from someone else's, like even if they're a horrible person, you try to like see like what were they thinking at the time, like what were they doing.
I love learning to understand other people, especially when it comes to the other side. So it's a big problem in my life is my dad is extremely right wing, extremely conservative, and like his Facebook feed is just nothing about telling us how Trudeau is like the most horrible human being ever, and like global warming's not real, etc. Like very very strong opinions.
He's taken too many selfies.
Yeah. But I don't sit back and hate my dad. I'm seeing him tomorrow. Like, he's a great guy. And we have conversations, civil conversations. Sometimes they do get out of hand.
Sometimes you can have conflicting ideologies and still get along.
Just fine. And it's not just because of blood. Like, it's because my dad's actually a genuinely good man. He's coming over to help me drywall my house, Like, he's not a bad person. And like that's part of the whole part is if you want to win in these arguments, it's not about going out there and writing weird vicious slurs. It's actually about education and discussion. The smarter you are, the better conversation you have on making your point. Because if you come in and you go, fuck you, you're dumb, I'm offended. Yeah. That's not a conversation.
This is all about your agenda. Yeah. It's like, well,
like, what do you think my agenda is?
Yes,
well, fuck your agenda. No. Like, let's talk about this. And then if it was on the reverse side, and I was a left person, like coming in and being like, stop hating everything, you hater alt-right person. Then it should be another discussion on that person's side where you're gonna go like, well, why do you hate my opinions? Like I strongly believe in my family and my values that I have at home, and this is why. And then they should be listening and then making a counterpoint, and the 2 points eventually. When you do that. Every single time I learn something new, I learn a new perspective, and I don't hate that person anymore. So,
yeah, learning perspective is always an interesting thing to do, and that's what games are striving to do by putting politics in games. It's not a bad thing. Don't be afraid of it.
Just a discussion, just something to show, just a perspective to look at. So don't be afraid of it.
And I feel like most of the time, like although video game writing I don't think is the best all the time, I don't feel like it beats you over the head with a big message a lot of time. Most of the time, saying Christians are bad, or this is bad, or this is good. You should be this way. It's usually not like that. So I feel like even if you really don't want it in there, I feel like it's easy enough to overlook with most games that you could just play the game and still have a good time. Yeah, it's not worth.
It does take a long way around to get there.
It's not worth the angry energy you're putting out there.
Yeah. I mean, in 80 hours of gaming, like you're more time, like you said, spending your time hunting down wolf pelts than you are actually getting a sermon.
Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah, it's. I hope this whole segment made sense to everybody. This was it was a little bit rambly. I feel in some parts for both of us.
No,
but
good.
Yeah.
We got political. We've sounded smart again. This is 2 in a row that we actually sound intelligent.
Well, I beg to differ. And if you beg to differ too, you can get at me on Twitter. I'm at the CalG. Mike is at Mike Kent Draws. Pens and Pixels across all social medias. Pick your poison.
Yeah, so if you like to, or if you want to, or because you like us, make sure to give us a like, a share, or a subscribe on YouTube, a rating on iTunes, or a like and also subscribe on SoundCloud. You can find us and all that. Also, we're releasing new content on our YouTube channel. We just released our first YouTube video of the top 6 indie art styles. We'll be releasing these every 2 weeks, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Of new video content, which actually has like a video in it, so it's not just like a picture the whole time. Like it's an actual video.
Yeah, we upload our podcast, which is just the audio with a picture the entire time. This one is top 6 art styles in indie games, in which we go down the list of 6 of our favorite indie games, what they look like, and quotes from the developers, why we like it, what its successes are.
Yeah, and we'll be bringing more content like that on YouTube, so be sure to give us a subscribe on there so you can get the latest. Otherwise, I think we're done. This is where I want like that sound where like like the door slams and then that sound of a car going and then the sound of a plane taking off.
And you shall have it.